What's up, everybody? Garrett back here, and I'm going live tonight to do a little bit of a Cobra Kai Season 4 spoiler-heavy live chat. So if any of you guys saw my spoiler-free review I did at the beginning of the week, then you will know that I was planning on doing a spoiler-heavy review. So I started recording the spoiler-heavy review, and I had a couple people reach out to me saying they enjoyed what I had to say in my spoiler-free review, and I mentioned to them, hey, would you enjoy if I did more of a live chat? Therefore, I can discuss with you guys your thoughts on Cobra Kai Season 4. So this was kind of planned, but at the same time, I've got a lot that's been going on these last couple days here at the house. So I wasn't sure if I was going to make this work or not. So if you guys kind of noticed, I announced it like an hour or so ago. Um, Holly, what's going on, kid? Welcome, welcome. I know you like to chat some Cobra Kai. Hopefully, you watched season 4. But before I start this, I was kind of, hit with a little sad news. Bob Saget, we just found passed away. I believe today they found him. I think he said in his hotel room around 4 o'clock, pronounced dead. I don't know anything more than that, but that kind of, hit me pretty hard, I guess, in the sense that it's just another person from your childhood now that's gone, and he was young still. He was only 65, and then I start thinking about my parents, and hopefully, my parents didn't live the life Bob Saget did, but at the same time, when you see somebody go that early, it really kind of hits home. And to me, he was kind of the dad, of the 90s in a way. So um rest in peace, Bob Saget. That's sad. I heard a couple people say it was a false claim. Again, I was just kind of prepping to do this, so I didn't read any further into it. So as of right now, I heard it is true. If anybody has any more info regarding that, feel free to chime into the chat. I'm not looking at it or anything like that. So yeah, I want to just kind of hit that up first because I was getting ready to do this and I was kind of like, oh man, like that's terrible. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do it or not here. But another thing too, Bob Saget was he was always my Sunday night go-to, man. You knew when America's Funniest Home Videos came on Sunday night, you knew that was like the last hurrah before you started school for the next week. And, that was a big thing in my childhood for years and years and years with the family, just kind of sitting around Sunday night, closing off the weekend here. So again, rest in peace. And thank you guys for everybody who's stopping in. Come say what's up in the chat. Give this video a like. It will let other people know that this is going on, and hopefully they'll chime in as well. Definitely want to see who is here. I see a couple people in the room now. Holly said, what's up? Feel free to jump in the chat and we'll kind of get this thing going. Now, originally, like I said, I had this planned earlier in the week or last week because this came out on New Year's. Yeah. I had a rough couple days. I wasn't feeling too hot the beginning of last week. So that's why, number one, I didn't do it the day after. But Chris V, what's up, man? And now thinking about doing this, I'm like, oh no, like I watched this on New Year's Day morning early. So, and I binged it that whole day. So what's kind of a bummer now is I just want to make sure like, oh, am I remembering everything? I want to make sure I didn't, lose my train of thought here on the season. So that's why I figured maybe doing it live now, you guys can kind of, chime in and we can kind of get a conversation going. Let me see what we got here coming through. Wow. Okay. Holly said last night I was in a watch party with an 80s horror movie I never heard of called Blood Tide with Martin Cove. You know what, Holly? I've never heard that either. So if anybody knows Blood Tide, let me know. Mama Blu-ray says she loves Cobra Kai. Yes, same with me. It is honestly probably my favorite show out now. I've said this before. I'm not really too much of a TV show guy. There's just too much out there, and I'm always getting movies in and stuff. And, I try to get through a lot of those, and to add TV and with my work schedule and having like an almost 3-year-old, it's just becomes too much. So people always ask me, have you seen this? Have you seen that? 9 times out of the 10, I haven't seen much of anything when it comes to television shows, but Cobra Kai, I was not going to miss. That's one that I'm going to binge that thing as fast as that thing comes out. But as far as other TV shows, I don't have a lot to compare it to. But I will say that I think as a whole, the show does a fantastic job. I still feel like I did on season one, where I felt like this had just no right to be as good as it is. When they first announced Cobra Kai, I thought it was going to kind of be a parody. Speaking of Bob Saget, I thought we were going to look at something more of like a Fuller House type vibe than what we actually got. So, pleasantly surprised with how Cobra Kai is done. I know the writers are huge fans, and you can definitely tell. Um, I think that if you watched my spoiler-free review, I was very happy with season 4, but I did have some things that, I wanted to talk about that I was as a Cobra Kai fan, I was kinda like, "Eh." I wasn't, all out, and I'm not gonna say just being a Cobra Kai fan, I loved every second of this season and any other season for that matter. I'm gonna tell you what I liked, I'm gonna tell you what I didn't like, and, as soon as we get these conversations going, I would like to hear what your guys' thoughts are as well on some of the stuff that I'm gonna talk about, or some of the stuff that maybe you wanna talk about with me. Um, so I just want to get back into the chat really quick because I don't want to get too far behind. When I do these by myself, I try to get to every question. I know sometimes when I'm doing it with other people or I'm not actually hosting, it's hard to kind of get into the questions because we're trying to have conversations and there's a lot of people chiming in. So when it's just me, I can sit back and take time to go through each one of these. So you will be answered. Um, Baby Herman, what is up? Let me see. We got Terrence bringing in the heat with Karate's Bad Boy in the next season. Sweep the leg. Listen, I am a big Mike Barnes fan. They have to. There's no question. I actually thought we were probably going to get a peek of him this season, which we didn't. So based on what Terry Silva said at the end of season 4, that he's going to get some help running the dojos. You got to call the bad boy, man. You got to do it. And Sean Cannon is, man, I met him right when season 1 ended. I had actually met him. He was signing at like an antique shop, which was about 45 minutes from my house. And being a huge Karate Kid fan, I was like, I've got to go and see him. I'm a huge fan of his. I remember seeing him on General Hospital because that's a whole nother story. It was something I had to watch growing up. And so I was definitely a big fan of Sean for a long time. So I went to meet him there, and we chatted, and I had some stuff signed, and he was really excited about the show, and he was like, "Man, I'm hoping I'm contacting people. I want to get on this show," and he's kept himself in good shape. And if you follow him on social media, he has been promoting Cobra Kai stuff for the last couple of years, and he's actually now back on, I believe, another soap opera. And I'm wondering if he's just kind of working on his acting chops again to and I know his end game is to get on the show, and I hope they do him right because he has kept himself in really good shape, and he definitely can go, man. And I've said this before on a video is Karate Kid 3 is an underrated movie in that franchise, and I've been championing that forever. And I personally find it's my second favorite of the franchise. I think Terry Silva, Mike Barnes, those are two of my favorite characters in the whole franchise themselves. Um, and at the end of that season, at the end of that movie, that scene with Terry Silva and John Crease and Mike Barnes beating on Daniel and Miyagi in the dojo. As a kid, the first time I saw that in the theater, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, is Johnny going to show up and help Daniel and Mr. Miyagi? And it'd be like a 3-on-3. And, being a huge wrestling fan, that's where my brain went, was like a dream match. And 6-man tag, and it never happened. But now, hey, man, I would still love to see Johnny versus Mike Barnes. That to me is like something I've been wanting since I was a kid. So I'm super excited about that. Crease is innocent, damn it, says Cynical. Yeah, man, let's dive into that really quick, and I'll start talking about this stuff as we go. When Terry Silva was teased last season, and what Cobra Kai does so well is they leave these cliffhangers, and you're like, oh my God, I need more. And that year between seasons is brutal sometimes because they just leave you on such a cliffhanger. And the Terry Silva cliffhanger from last year, and then seeing him in that initial teaser, like I was so excited because I know that I believe he retired from acting, and this was kind of like him getting back into the game, and to see him reprise this role, which I'm not sure if he ever was really proud of or not, but I always found it just a huge character in this franchise. And I think the writers of Cobra Kai felt the same way, is that they were their biggest, they're the biggest fans of Terry Silva. So bringing him into the mix here, we can kind of talk about episode 1. Is it starts off great when you see him playing the piano in his mansion, and you're like, all right, he's still doing well. Like, he's still that billionaire millionaire that we all knew. And, he's got parties going on at the house, and he's still living large. And I mean, I was hooked from the first second I saw that. And I talked about this before as well, is that I was able to see that episode a couple days early in like a private, early access screening. And I was so amped up. And I felt that that first episode really set the stage for what we were going to get for the rest of the show. And as the show went on, I kind of was like, oh no, I like what they're doing with Terry Silva, but there was some parts I didn't like when he kept, where John Crease was kind of getting the upper hand on Terry Silva, because in my memory in Karate Kid 3, like Terry Silva was like the baddest of the bad. And John Crease was basically like working for him, right? Because Terry Silva owned Cobra Kai. John Kreese franchised the Cobra Kai out from him, that he bought him. So to me, I felt like the main boss was Terry Silva. And as the season went on, you could see Terry Silva. I keep saying, guys, Silver. I know it's Silver. My nobody's saying in the chat, but I'm noticing myself say it, is because of my Rhode Island accent. Says Silva, Silver. So yeah. So I mean, he to me was always the top dog. So to see him kind of cowering down to John Kreese this season a bunch of times, and John Kreese being the one kind of getting the last laugh and kind of putting Terry Silver in his place, and Terry Silver looking more like the lackey to John Kreese, I was kind of like, oh no, I don't know if I like this, I don't know if I like this too much. Like, why is he letting this Nam thing like really just take him over? Because they mentioned it in Karate Kid 3, but it wasn't something that kept getting used against him. And he was kind of doing whatever he was told based on that. Well, as we know, the way that this thing kind of concluded, it was the Terry Silva that I wanted all along. Like, he knew in the back of his head when he said, you know what my weakness is? It's you, John. And that to me said it all. That to me was like, listen, like I'm the one that's going to get the last laugh. And he did. So as much as John Kreese, yeah, he is innocent, right? And you start to see John Kreese have a little bit of that face turn. I want to still use some wrestling terms, which is another big positive about this season. There was a lot of these like face and heel turns, and there was some aspects of somebody starting to get feelings here and there, and it was a real emotional roller coaster. And at the end of the day, you kind of see like Terry Silva is still the villain, and he's the one that's gonna have the last laugh. So I think what they did at the end of that thing was amazing for Terry Silva's growth, I think, because next season he's going to be the big deal. And I'm going to scroll through this chat again, because again, the more I chat, the less I'm going to see this. So yeah, thanks, Cynical, for bringing that up. That kind of just got me on a rant about the Terry Silva angle and what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it. But as a whole, after I saw kind of exactly what they did with him at the end, I was like, it makes so much sense. Even though there was a couple times where I was like, what? Like, why are you letting John Kreese, push you around? And Silver is back. All right, let me see. Sam Elliott in Roadhouse when Terry Silva put his hair up. What's funny is I keep getting people telling me like, oh, he looks like John Voight. He looks like who else did they say? They said oh my God, what is his name there? There's another actor there, the one that dances and stuff like that and sings using Batman Returns and not Boondock Saints. Jesus, True Romance and stuff. It's on the tip of my tongue, but you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, everybody keeps saying how much he looks like all these other people. You know what I will say? He kept himself in pretty good shape. really did. Um, all right, I'm scrolling through, so if you don't see it, you're coming. What's up, Garrett? Johnny is my favorite character. Boba Fett's. Yeah, let's get into Johnny a little bit really quick. Uh, I'm gonna say as a whole, Johnny is probably still my favorite character in the show. Huge Zabka fan, huge Johnny fan. I mean, he was who I liked as a kid. You know, I preferred Johnny over Daniel. I was always into the bad boys. I was always into the 80s, you know, tough guys or whatever. Maybe because I wanted to be that, but I never was, sadly. But yeah, I'm a big Johnny fan. And what I liked about this, and you know, there were times in this season, because to me, this is like the real all out Netflix behind Netflix train season. It was hyped. You know, they did have season 3 on Netflix, but that was already like filmed or in the process of filming when they kind of bought it out. So to me, this was really like the Netflix train was really pushing this season. And there was some things in this season, you know, that I was kind of like, kind of felt a little like felt a little Netflixy a little bit. And you know, I'm happy it's on Netflix because the more people that watch it, the longer this thing stays afloat. You know, but you know, there was little things, and what I was very happy with Johnny is that no matter what they did to try to change things up a little bit, he has remained the same, and that was a big concern for me because you know some of the stuff he does and says is not really what we get nowadays, and I'm very happy that they kept him in character because it's almost like that's his gimmick, and he can't lose that because that's what still makes him so special and different, is that he just doesn't understand, you know, how things are now, and he doesn't want to understand how things are now. And I really think that's a character that we all kind of need in a way because in my opinion, I feel like a lot of that kind of character that you're seeing there is really pushed off to the wayside nowadays, and it's good to see that they've kept Johnny really authentic, especially as the seasons go. And again, I think as a whole for me, uh, Johnny is definitely still my favorite character overall in this, even though, like I said, Terry Silver is one of my favorite characters from the whole franchise. I'm so glad he's in this season. Johnny to me still is the main player, in my opinion. Um, yeah, Boba Fett says have Snake and Barnes come into. I think they will. I mean, I think they will. Mike Barnes for sure. I mean, I don't know what Snake is up to now, but I mean, man, if they brought in all those Cobra Kai guys a couple seasons ago, I don't see why you wouldn't see the other ones. Um, you know, I see the other guy. I don't remember his name in the movie, but he was like the third guy who was really a martial artist. He's promoting stuff all the time on social media, Cobra Kai, Karate Kid stuff. So he still really loves that character that he played in part 3. So I'm sure he is down to come in if they bring him in, for sure. Barry, what's up, man? Welcome. I know you watch the show. Holly says my Rhode Island accent. Yeah, you know. Um, yeah, horror critic is kind of going back. See how far back on the chat I am right now, about Terry Silver and how, you know, he was kind of backing off to Crease and stuff like that. So yeah. Um, let me go here. See. All right, so Boba Fett's, man. Thanks for jumping in here. You gave us some good info. Met Thomas Ian Griffith a while back and had him sign my Karate Kid 3 poster. Bought him a drink after the convention. Very nice guy. Um, Man, that's awesome, dude. I have a feeling we're gonna see him around a lot more now. I know who kind of manages him, and you know I've already kind of chatted with him about that. And yeah, I've never had the luck to meet him. I've always wanted to. To me, I always thought he was going to be at one of the chiller conventions that I attend in New Jersey. He seemed like he would have been right up that alley for the type of guests that they get there. But now, I mean, I think now you're going to see him at everything. Pretty sure you will. He'll probably be a top tier guest at like Comic Cons and stuff now because man, this show is exploding. And you know, really quick, I want to show this. I brought this in just because I want to show you guys this. This is a signed photo that I got. Now, again, I haven't met him. I've met Martin Cove a bunch of times, but never Silver. But as you can see, I've got Terry Silver and John Crease both signed here, and it says it's party time. So that wonderful scene in Karate Kid 3 where they're at the dojo, beating on Daniel and Miyagi, and they say it's party time. I love that scene, so that's what I had him kind of sign off on that. I sent that in to get signed by Thomas Ian Griffith. Had Martin Cove on there, and it got authenticated and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm super happy to have that. But I do hope to meet him in person someday, get something else signed from him because, like I said, I'm a big fan. Uh, yeah, Holly, you are right. We can kind of dive into this now. The constant shifting of who to root for is like an emotional whiplash. It sure was. Like, that's what I found this season did so well is that they did put you on that roller coaster ride of like who you were rooting for. It was so good. Not, like I said, I don't watch a lot of TV shows. So, maybe this is just what they do a lot. But for me, it was like, I felt that way big time. And I have characters that I like a lot. I have characters that I like as some characters I could do without. But, there was a lot of ones here where you were kind of like, I was still rooting for who I like. But you could see a lot of these shifts. And, I will say now, like the one I think really won me over the most this season was Robbie. I always liked Robbie. I always thought he had a cool look. Like he kind of reminded me on season one of like a Jonathan Brandis or something like that. And he was cool and he had a cool look, and I liked the story with him. And then when he kind of met up with Daniel and he was kind of like the real like baby face, like the top Miyagi Do karate guy. Like, he kind of was like, eh. Like I was more into. I find that I'm more into the Cobra Kai side of it, and I don't know if it's just the attitude they bring when they're in Cobra Kai versus Miyagi Do. So Robbie kind of hung in the back. Like I was like, oh, Miguel's cooler than Robbie, and all that stuff. And I think Robbie's turn to we could even use some Star Wars, like the dark side, because I know they say that in the show. And you can even say in wrestling terms is when he turned heel, when he did that heel turn. The Robbie we see now, man, like, or at least for the majority of the show, like he was awesome. Like when he was in the running the class and he's like, I'm in, and everybody's like, oh wow, Robbie's in Cobra Kai, like this is big, it seemed like he was like a real big player, and I loved that kind of arrogant, cocky Robbie. I think he killed it. I think him and I think Tori, this was their season. He totally won me over. And what's crazy now, and in my opinion, is I feel like Miguel has really dropped as like the main kid and the main character here. Ever since the back injury, and that comeback, like I just feel like he's just kind of there. And I know season 5 is going to have a lot to do with Miguel, but he's going to kind of be off on his own. And Sam, you know, people always used to say to me, she's so annoying, she can't act, she's awful. And I was like, nah, I like Sam, she's okay. And this season, like when they're trying to turn her a little bit and to make her a little heelish, like it's cool because like I like that she's kind of interested in what Johnny has to say, and she's kind of going out from under her dad's wing on how to do things. But there was some stuff about Sam where I was like, oh man, like all she does is whine. Like even at that final fight, it's like every time she lost the point, she's like, "What?" Huh? And it's like, dude, you just take the point. You got hit. Like, what do you want? What do you want? Like, why is everything like a big controversy with you? And that was kind of my feeling on Sam. And it's funny because, like I said, like with Miguel and Sam, like I was like, oh, they're fine, they're cool. I love Miguel. But this season really turned me a little bit into be like, to me, they're secondary now. Like the other two ruled this season, and I think Cobra Kai does a pretty good job with kind of making people more important per season, right? And I'll keep going through here. Uh, Satan Payne, what's up, man? Sorry, I'm behind on the chat here. John Cressup, what's up? Let me see what he's gonna say. He's gonna big one. What's up, man? One thing about this show I like is how they constantly change your expectations and making exactly, and that's kind of what I was just talking about there. Um, they do a real good job at that, man. Real good. Do you think Crease will be Johnny's father? I oh my god, that would be a swerve, huh? Chopping mall, that would be a big swerve. I was gonna say we know who his father was. It was his stepfather, so yeah, I guess not. Man, I think it would be a crazy swerve, but I think it would be too coincidental. And that's the thing you gotta be careful for too, is I like these little, like, throwbacks to the old movies, but when you make it a little too coincidental, to me, I think it's a little much, right? So another issue we might have here is that we've got a lot of people who have talked about parents that we don't know who they are yet, right? So it could easily be a new character that they bring in. It could easily be someone from the past. And I think they've got to walk a pretty good line on how they do this because, like I said, if it becomes that coincidental, like for instance, Miguel's father, is going to be a main player in season 5. Who is his dad? Um, it, to me, I feel like if it's someone from the franchise and he's living down in Mexico and they happen to move to California, and I don't know. I mean, it's a hard sell for me, right? As much as I would like love it in a sense, like, oh, it's Freddy, right? It's Freddy. Freddy's down there, right? If it's something like that, right? That would be like, oh, sure, it's Freddy's back. But I just don't see how they can make that work. And I know there's a lot of not believable stuff in the show, but that to me might be a little far fetched. Now, Tori, we don't know her parents either. The thing with Tori though is it could work because we could just say that I mean, I forget, like, how did she move to town on season 2? I forget how she got here, but if it was just kind of like, I think Miguel's just too, how did he just happen to live here? I don't know. Tori, I think we could kind of make it work because they're all settled here and maybe they grew up here, her parents did or whatever. So that could work. But at the same time, if you bring Miguel's parents in the mix, Tori's parents in the mix, that's a lot of new characters, which I want to kind of talk about now that we're going to try to introduce. Let me just catch up again on some of this chat here. Uh, Horror Critic, what's up? We're talking about Chosen. Yep, I'll get into that for sure. Baby Herman. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Mike Barnes, Snake, and Dennis for the next season. I think that we're going to see that for sure. Okay, so here's a good transition. Boba Fett's, man, thank you so much again for your input here. I didn't enjoy the new character that was introduced. I wish they would focus more on the core characters. Okay, this is going to be a little ranty here. So this is a great transition because what I just said was, if they introduce too many new characters, for instance, everybody's parents now, and have them be part of the show, that to me is going to take away from other established characters. So at least with this next season, we see that Johnny and Miguel pretty much are going to be off in like Mexico doing their thing there. We're probably going to meet Miguel's father. So that's going to be a storyline kind of off the main storyline. So that takes Miguel and Johnny kind of out of the equation a little bit, right? So we're going to see a lot of new head honchos now. So we talked about Chosen a little while ago. Horror Critic brought him up. We know that Chosen ended the show as like an appearance. Now, Daniel basically asked Chosen, help me. You're the only one that knows Miyagi-Do. Please, I can't train these kids anymore. I lost the tournament. I can't train. That was the stipulations, but Chosen can train. And Chosen is another favorite of mine. I say this all the time. Best pecs in Okinawa, Chosen. And I'm so happy he's on the show, man. I'm so happy he's on the show. And he's somebody that I would love to meet someday as well. I wish I knew how, I could get an autograph from him. I know Zobi does a lot of these Cobra Kai autographs. I keep my eyes open. I would love to get something from him. But again, we're getting a lot of new characters in the mix. Like, so now we're bringing Chosen back in. We're going to get Miguel's father is going to get in the mix. So when I talked about earlier is I watched episode 1 a couple days. I watched it like on a Tuesday. And this premiered at my house Saturday morning. So a couple days earlier, I saw season 1. And episode 1. When episode 1 ended, and you heard Terry Silva, Hassa! And like you knew he was going to go back, and you were like, wow, this is going to be killer. So what I did was when I started it on Saturday morning, I started on episode 2. I was really taken back on episode 2 because it's a whole new story than we got from episode 1. They introduced a new character, Kenny. And I'm watching this and I'm like, what is this? Because it felt to me like I was watching, I don't know, a new Spider-Man movie, uh, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, something you would have seen on like Disney Channel. And the scene of him dancing at the bus stop by himself. I don't have a kid in middle school. I don't know a lot of kids in middle school. But I'm like, nobody would do that. If they did, like that deserves to be laughed at. Like, who I could see if you with friends and you were joking around and doing silly stuff by yourself. I'm like, what are they trying to do here? They're not making me feel sympathetic for this character at all. They're making me want him not to be on the show. I was like, what is this? And I was really literally like annoyed. Like I was like, this is not Cobra Kai here. This is not what I fell in love with. Um, and then they introduce all the new characters, which you do find out, okay, they're doing this because they want LaRusso's son to be in the mix. He was a little younger. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Is that the same kid who was on season 1 and 2? I don't know. People have asked me. I didn't really look into it. He's aged a lot. He's gotten a lot bigger. So I see what they were trying to do is they're trying to get him in the mix. In order for them to do that, they had to have a new character. Now, I didn't like it. I wasn't a big fan of the middle school stuff. I'll tell you that. I really wasn't, especially at the beginning. And then all of a sudden it becomes, hey, let's fight over a girl. Like we haven't seen that 1,000 times before. I'm like, we're gonna go down this well again. And I found of some of the middle school kids that was hanging out with Lusso, the kid with the curly hair was super annoying. Like get off my TV annoying. Kenny started out as a little bit of annoying, but again, maybe middle school kids act this way. Like maybe they dress up in cosplay all the time. I don't know. I mean, look at me now. I'm at I got my representing gimmick of Corey Haim with my headband every time I come on the show as my gimmick. So who am I to say, right? But it was a little silly, in my opinion. But I will say this: Kenny grew on me as the seasons went on. His story grew on me. I have a couple theories on why I think he's a character. I think it was a last minute thing. I think it's coincidental that they were able to write him in with the friend from jail and all that other stuff. I think that was coincidental. I think that they handled it very well. But again, that's just my opinion. And I started to enjoy Kenny as a character and a story. I really did. Um, I'm not sure what to think of it, but what I can see happening, like I said, is we're going to have a new guard in season 5 because a lot of these kids are getting older. So if they go back to the tournament stuff, if it's over 18, some of these kids might be out, right? Or under 18. Some of these characters are going to be doing other things now. So they've got other fish to fry. And I think you're going to start seeing a lot of these younger kids moving up into the ranks as like main characters on the show. Which again, I think it's like I said, it grew on me a little bit. I'm still not a big fan of that whole crew. Because I think with all these new characters you're trying to talk about, and then Johnny's going out and getting new characters for his dojo, and you have 3 dojos trying to get all these members, right? You're introduced to a lot of new characters. Some were really cool, some were barely around. But what I think it did was I think it took away from a lot of the core characters that we really loved. And the main one I'm going to talk about is I think it took a lot away from Hawk. And as much as in the end, Hawk kind of came out on top, I really wasn't happy with the Hawk character this season. Again, it was an emotional roller coaster ride, but for him to just completely shut down to me was a little bit much. And then he kind of fell on the back burner for the rest of the show. And then all of a sudden at the end, he wins. And I feel like the story for him wasn't deep enough for him to come out victorious. Tori, I knew from halfway through the season, I'm like, Tori has to win. She has to win. And I think as with the for the teenagers or whatever, Tori is absolutely the best one on the show. She has been since she started. Continues to get better. I don't know if it's the way her character's written. I don't know if it's her as an actress, but I think she carries that whole crew. When she's on screen, she's awesome every single time. And the way her character had to kind of shift, and they used Daniel's wife to have that happen, I just felt was a really good job. And for a girl who a lot of people watching the show probably felt like they hated because she was the biggest bully, when you start to really dig deeper into her character and really see what's going on, I can see a lot of people now being like, you know what, like Tori's, she's all right. And I think the thing that hurt her the most, in my opinion, in this whole season was when she found out that Terry Silva paid off the referee. In my opinion, I think that hurts her character a little bit. Is that going to help catapult next season? Yeah, sure, it will. But I think like Tori needed this win. She deserved the win. She deserved to win clean. Um, she deserved all the glory she got and feel better about herself, not now going back and feeling like she won by mistake. And even if you go back and watch it, I mean, if they're gonna say the out of bounds thing was really the kicker, I mean, Sam had to still score another point after that if that would have counted anyway. So who's to say, right, that that was the legit? I mean, that was like what, like the first point or whatever for her. I mean, anything could happen. But again, I think that was kind of a that could have we could have won without. I know what they're trying to do. I know they're trying to use that to catapult next season with her and Silver. But I was kind of bummed about that actually. But yeah. Thanks, guys. I'm way behind in the chat now. But yeah, that's really my thoughts on the new characters. I think it was a little much because there was too many, and we lost a lot of our favorites that I feel like didn't get enough time, just due to that. And Terry Silva for a while was one. I felt like he was not getting enough that I thought he was going to get, considering he was the one that was really being pushed for the season. I felt for a while like when they were going over like, getting all the new recruits and all this stuff, I felt like Silver kind of fell in the back a little bit. Hawk the most, I think. And it was kind of like wrestling too. It's like Hawk's the guy in this season that kind of in a Royal Rumble hangs out, under the ring and nobody sees him. And then at the end, he comes out and wins. Like, I mean, that's what it felt like to me. Like he was the one kind of out of sight, out of mind. And then he came out and won. And I felt like the Hawk that we saw in season one would have made more sense as the winner than what we got here. Um, Hawk needs to be badass. Like that's it. Like he was a character in season one that people were like, wow, this kid pulled it off. Like he went from total nerd of the show to total badass without a blink of an eye. And the story that was told with him and with Johnny being like, flip the script. And he just did it so well and became like the cool guy again in the school and just with an attitude change. And I truly believe that that's really a real thing, guys. I see it all the time with kids and stuff, and 9 times out of 10, it's self-confidence, and it carries over, man. It carries over to everything. And I can even say that with myself growing up. I was really small. I was always the little one, and I was good at things, but I couldn't be great because I just was overpowered and I was not as quick, or I looked like I was 10 and I was playing sports with adults. Like that was me. So of course the self-confidence level to me was a little bit down, and all it takes is a flip of the script. It could take one thing, it could take two things, and as soon as you gain that self-confidence, I mean, I'm not even close to the same person I was when I was 16 years old. Like it's night and day, and I felt like that was such a good story because it's what needs to be shown to a lot of the kids nowadays, is that you don't have to mohawk your hair and be an asshole, but just goes to show like he didn't do anything different. He dressed different, got a different haircut, and his mindset was different. And that's really what it is. And I feel like, did he deserve to be the winner of the tournament? Yeah, he did. Hawk's awesome. Hawk's one of the best parts of the show. He deserved to win. But I just feel like he wasn't given enough this season to really get you to jump out of your seat when he won, and let's hope that he's got more coming in this next season because he's one of my favorites on the show as well. Let's scroll through here. Sorry, guys, but thank you guys for listening to me, and I'm sure you guys have a lot of things saying. Um, yeah, I don't know how I what was Little Brother the same actor. I'm not sure. Chopped Mall says, "Why else does John Kreese have a soft spot for anything with Johnny?" Like Terry Silva said, it's his weakness, and I think it is because as far as we know, Johnny was what made which is what made John Kreese, a success. As far as we know, he was the main student for John Kreese for years, three-time champion, right? So he was the guy in the '80s that was bringing these people into Cobra Kai, making John Kreese a success. So to me, I think that Johnny is he's just looking at Johnny as like, man, he was my protege. He's kind of like the Anakin Skywalker, right? Like he was the guy. And I think after all this, and even at the beginning, like he came in to help Johnny, and their relationship got skewed. And I think they fight, but I think in reality, like I don't think he hates him. I think he just doesn't like that Johnny is kind of on his own now and not falling in line like he always was. Um, yeah, John, I thought honestly, like I thought that Tori and Terry Silver were going to be daughter father before we knew anything about Terry Silver. I'm like, okay, he's gonna come in because I bet Tori's his daughter. Um, but it doesn't seem like that now. But I really did think that, and I actually liked the John Kreese Tori connection. I liked it. I like that he kind of watches out for her like a father figure. I think that's really cool. Um, and yeah, Holly, you nailed it on the head. Like a lot of these new characters, they became really good at karate for time of the tournament. And that's another thing because we had so many stories to tell this season. The karate training for this tournament wasn't as in depth. All of a sudden, like we get to the last episode, or second to last episode, and they're at the tournament, and I'm like, man, like that kind of came quick, right? Like I just didn't feel like there was enough build. We knew the end goal of the season, which I love, is that like at least with this season, we knew where we were going. A lot of these other seasons, they make it work, but you can tell they're just kind of they're moving the story along. This had a goal on this season, and we knew we needed to get there. And I just feel like there was too much going on that it got very rushed. And I actually found, to my opinion, I found the tournament besides the last two fights, um, lackluster. That's something else we can kind of jump in right now as like a miss for me. Is the tournament itself was a little lackluster for me. A lot of the matches were kind of meh, like they just kind of got them in, got them out. Not a big Dimitri fan, so that doesn't do anything for me. Um, like I said, there's a lot of the newer characters. Like it was weird that Kenny had to fight Robbie. Like it was just odd. Was there? I guess it's just the kind of luck of the draw. They needed a story to tell. The fact that like Kenny almost beat Robbie or could have beat, like, to me that was silliness. Because like you're looking at Robbie like he's the Anakin Skywalker of the crew, and he's the one nobody can beat, and this new kid comes in and he gives him a couple lessons, and now he's almost in the same caliber. Like, so what are you saying? You're saying then Kenny, by the time he's 18 or by the time he's in high school, he's got to be the best one ever, right? You like, how could you not be if he's already that good? In eighth grade, beating up or coming close to beating up a senior in high school. So that to me was a little bit much, in my opinion. It wasn't enough build on that. Um, and talking about the tournament, one of the big things, and people could have disagreed with me. I've had friends disagree with me on this. I didn't like the Carrie Underwood thing at all. I was actually kind of annoyed with it. To be honest, like that music's not my taste. I don't even know anything she sings. Like, I mean, I've probably heard songs a million times. I know who she is. I know what she looks like, but I don't know any of her music. Is she country? Is she kind of like pop? Is she a mix between the two? I'm kind of like Johnny in a way, guys. Like I live in this bubble, and it's hard for me to get out. Like I have things I do, when it comes to movies, music, TV. Like I'm stuck in a bubble, guys. Like I don't watch a lot of current stuff unless it's really recommended to me by someone, that I really trust and respect. Um, I'm not music. I like all different music. I don't like country. but I don't know a lot of the new stuff. Like, I might hear a song and be like, "Oh, that's a cool song," but I don't know, like, the whole album or anything like that. But yeah, so in a way, I'm a kind of Johnny when it's like I have trouble with a lot of this new stuff. And you might say Carrie Underwood's not new. I think anything anything after, like, I don't know, 2005 to me is new. I don't know. Maybe even less, maybe like 2000. So yeah, I was not a fan of that. I mean, I liked that they played that song because I like that song. Um, to me, that was a little much. That she was on the show. I don't know. To me, it was unnecessary. Um, Bobby Carlos, what's up, man? Where do I rank this season? You know, I said this on my spoiler-free review. If you guys haven't watched that one, I'm gonna say in the middle. There's only 4 seasons, so I'm thinking this to me. I would probably have to rewatch the seasons, but I'm gonna say to me, this is if I had to just guess off the top of my head, because again, it's been a long time since I watched all the seasons. Like I said, I've been watching this since it was on the YouTube Red, so it's been years. I'm gonna say this is probably my 3rd favorite season. I'm gonna say to me, I 1 and 2 are probably my 2 favorites. I don't know which one I would say is the best is my favorite though. I don't know. I think maybe season 2 was my favorite. I still think that fight scene at the end in the school was unbelievable. I know they tried to top it in season 3 at the house. In my opinion, it didn't even come close. Um, so I would say this is probably my 3rd favorite season. I think season 3 was probably my least. Um, I don't know why. Uh, I'm not sure, but I think I would say this is probably my 3rd out of the. I think it probably goes 2, 1, 4, 3 in my opinion. I'm Robert Long, man. I'm just getting to you, so I'm about 10 minutes behind on the chat. Um, yeah, Chosen. We'll get into him as well. He's definitely going to be a big main character in this next season. Um, Henry Boy. Yeah, we were confused with the middle school stuff. Yeah, I think it was a real. It was a real bad time to introduce it. It's like it started the episode after you just got through that big first season premiere episode, and all of a sudden it goes to that, and I was like, "Am I watching the same show here?" Because they just introduced like all these new characters, and you're like, "What the heck?" And I just think it was very poorly done, and but I knew they had to get it in because number one, I think they wanted to make it a big splash, like with this new character because he was going to be a main character, and he's going to be a main character going forward, a big character, I think, and I think they really wanted to kind of get you used to him quick but I think it was a real weird way they would have did it, in my opinion. Um, yeah, Johnny is going to meet Miguel's dad, and that's going to be a big thing there. I think that that's going to really take them out of the season a little bit. Um, so that's going to take them out of the season a little bit. I think. That's just me. I think that Johnny and Miguel are going to have a side story that we're going to get snips of throughout the season. But I think there's a lot more to do in this next season because there's so many more people and characters. This is a real good question here. Boba Fett, man, you're killing it with these questions. Would you see Robin Lively, Jessica Andrews in the next season? Man, I would love to see Robin Lively. To be honest, I think, and this is out of left field, imagine if they bring Mike Barnes in to run Cobra Kai with Silver, and Mike Barnes is married to Jessica Andrews after all that from part 3, because part 3, she never was with Daniel, right? Like he wanted to be with her, but she wasn't. It was a real awkward like thing because in all the movies, Daniel kind of got a girl, and this one it was like he didn't really have the girl. And maybe at the end of the day, like she ended up getting with Barnes and they've got a family and you know, I don't know. I just think it would be a sweet swerve, man. And you know, I don't know. And then Daniel's like, why would you go with him? Because again, they even said in the show, like, is there anybody else from Cobra Kai that in your past that and he kind of was like, oh, I don't know. So there's a lot of hints towards Barnes. But man, I think that would be a swerve to get her in because I wish Elizabeth Shue hung around. I know it was just a quick appearance, but I wish she hung around a little bit more. I love her and I wish she was in the show, and it would be great to kind of get them two together, Robin Lively and her on the same screen, and maybe we see Shu pop in again. It's just tough because now it's like, where does she fit? Because Johnny's really with Miguel's mother now, and that's a real thing. And Daniel's married, so I get it. Like, where does Shu fit? But Robin Lively, I think, would be killer. Um, Henry Boy, I don't know what you mean. Is it girl on Eagle Karate? I don't know what that means. Yeah. So I think Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do fighting the Mexican cartel. Hey, I mean, you know what? Maybe they start Cobra Cartel. I don't know. But there's gonna be something in that. There's gonna be something along those lines. I guarantee it. Yeah, Tori is probably gonna be the hero in the next season. I mean, again, same thing like I said about Johnny. I don't care if Tori's the hero, but she needs to stay Tori. She can't become goody goody Tori. Like, she has to stay that like intimidating. She could be a badass because that's what works. But she's that way because she's fighting for her life. She's fighting for her family, and she can't put up with shit because she's the one who's really making it work for her family. So she can't change the way she is. Like, she would be the one that would punch Terry Silver in the face and not care, right? Like, she can't change. And that's like what I said about Johnny, is they were very good with him not changing. This is cool. So, guys, you might have been talking about this already, but Robert Long says it's funny when Stingray got beat up. Let's talk about Stingray. I was so excited to see Stingray back. I think his character is so good. Man, I mean, I think it's just perfect. It's it's so cringy, but at the same time, it's like there's people like that out there, and he just plays it so well, and he's such a great actor too. If you haven't seen some of the stuff he's in, I mean, he was in the Tanya Harding movie. He was in another movie where he was the security guard that got blamed for blowing up the Olympics or whatever. Man, he's awesome. He's a great character, and I'm wondering if there was some feedback and they brought him back, like, unless it was the whole plan, because sometimes you got to take people out to add new people in. I get it. And I think missing him for a season when he came back it brought a big smile to my face. And the way they kind of took it right from the last time we saw him, where he's like, "Oh, probation's over. I want to go back to it was awesome." And the conversation he had with his, brother-in-law or whatever that was, like, the whole thing, he did awesome. And he just wants to be part of it, like, he wants to fit in, he wants to feel cool. And I think when he won that thing in the field for Cobra Kai, it was probably like the highlight of his life, right? He's still wearing the headband. And there's a lot of people out there like that, and it's just such a cool character because it's different. It's different. They're pushing lines. Like, since when do you have a grown guy inviting wanting to hang out with teenagers? Like, you just don't see that a lot, right? Like, and I love his character, and I hope they do more with him next season. And I hope he stays Cobra Kai and he's with Silver and all that stuff, because he deserves to be a part of the show. I think evidently he probably will end up in like Miyagi-Do or whatever, or with Johnny. He's not going to stay with, I'm sure, with Silver. But yeah, I liked everything about Stingray. Um, Bobby Carlos, come on. Who do we think the best main fighter? So not include. I would have said Chosen. I would have said Chosen in 2 seconds. I think, going back, and I've always thought this, is that Chosen to me was the most intimidating character in all of Karate Kid franchise, that universe. I think he would kick anybody's ass. He was just so like intimidating. He was so scary. I mean, I'm so glad he's here, and I'm so glad he's going to be a bigger part of the next season, because he was such an important character, in my opinion, to the franchise. Even though I feel like, he's kind of underrated. But as far as who else, I would have to say Terry Silver is probably the best. Um, Yeah, I agree. I did talk about this. I think it was a shame that Hawk took a back seat this season. Yeah, I agree too. I think it was a shame. And especially knowing that he was going to come out the victor at the end. Like, to me, it was almost like, we'll throw him a bone because, like, we didn't do anything with this season. And that's kind of what it felt like. Instead of him winning and you being like, he earned it, he deserved it, the story was so good. And now what? He gets he loses all self-confidence because he got beat up by like 5 guys and they shaved his head. Like, come on, come on. I was disappointed about Stingray. Doesn't he know about? That's the thing. I mean, Stingray's been on house arrest during this when Eagle Fang was made, so he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He thinks it's Cobra Kai versus Miyagi Do still. He has no idea about Eagle Fang. I like how they show Bloodsport. I did too. Let me see. The guy who played Revenge of the Robert Long says he wishes Jerry needs to come back from. Yeah, I would love to have him in here. Yeah, Holly, I agree. Carrie Underwood was a weird moment to me. And I talked to somebody like, oh, well, if you think about Rocky, they had, James Brown or whatever. And it's like, I guess, but I don't know. It just seemed a little bit much, you know? All right. So here's a good one. Henry Boy. Good. Here's a good transition. I thought the female karate lady from the movies would have came in this season. Now, if you're talking about Hilary Swank, I think we see Hilary Swank. I really do. I think this show is so hot right now that everybody who is involved in this universe, I'm sure, is knocking on their door to be on this show. Um, I think Hilary Swank should be in this. I told you why the only reason I wouldn't want her to be in this show is because when they came out with this box set, which is over here, they just released this 4K sweet box set. They did not include the next Karate Kid in it. They just included the Machio trilogy. That's what I call it, the Machio trilogy. That's what was in there, the Daniel-san trilogy. So Julie-san was not in this box set. Now, the only reason I don't want her to come in Cobra Kai, because if she shows her face in Cobra Kai, they're going to want to put that movie back out for people to buy so they get really acquainted with this character, and they're going to have to put out a new box set that I'm going to buy, and it's going to have 4 movies in it. And so, that's why I don't want her in it. But other than that, I want her in it. I think she deserves to be in it. I think it's that to me is a main actress that you can get on this show instead of throwing Carrie Underwood in here for like some publicity or whatever for the show. Like, bring in people that make sense, right? And what's interesting about this is supposedly the reason Chosen is here is because Daniel is not allowed to teach. That was the stipulation. So Chosen is here to take over the teachings of Miyagi-Do. But Hilary Swank knows Miyagi-Do. So to me, I'm like, okay, well, that could easily fit in this mix somehow. Is that maybe they need more help? Maybe when Cobra Kai opens up X amount of dojos learning Cobra Kai, and you've got all these dudes from part 3, you've got some of the, you could bring in, and again, I'm going to talk about this in a second. You could bring in somebody else from the past to help with Cobra Kai. Who knows? But to have someone else on Miyagi-Do's side that knows Miyagi-Do would only make a little bit of sense. And I'm sure she's just a phone call away because they did, I think, say that she knew Daniel, I think, in the movie somehow. And if not, I'm sure they were probably both at Miyagi's funeral, right? So I think we'll see her, man. I really do. If not, I think there's 6 seasons they're already announced right now. So if it's not season 5, it probably be season 6. But I do think we'll see her. I'm just catching up with her. So we're talking about, I'm way behind, guys. So we're doing, yeah, agree. Baby Herman, I agree. Carrie Underwood performance was out of place. It was, and that's what it was. I have nothing against her. It's more like it didn't make sense for this show. And agree, the soundtrack for this show from day one has been amazing. It still is. So why not? They could have just had another band or something come on, because you think about it, it's a little karate tournament, and she just happens to show up, and I don't know. It just, to me, it was a little bit much, in my opinion. Oh, Carrie Underwood was from American Idol. Did she win American Idol? Was she a judge? I don't know. Maybe she won. That's where she came from. Should have brought Steel Panther. Hey, I would have rather had Debbie Gibson. I would have rather had Debbie Gibson than Carrie Underwood, no doubt, because it would have made more sense, because Debbie Gibson would have been someone that would have did that performance before Carrie Underwood did. I don't care what kind of favor she owed this guy. For her to drive all the way down to sing a song at a karate thing, to me just seems a little out of place. Debbie Gibson, though, it would have made more sense. The show, has a lot of 80s references. Debbie Gibson would probably do something like that. Not anything against, I love Debbie Gibson, but I'm saying it just would have made more sense for the show. And didn't they refer to her in another season? I think they might have. Imagine that swerve. Danny Trejo as his dad. I mean, I wouldn't hate that, to be honest with you. I wouldn't hate it. What I'm curious about though too is I don't know if this would be good or bad, right? Like you wonder if they're gonna try to tie in different universes together. I don't know which universes, right? But I posted something the other day. If you follow me on Instagram at Born to Be Rad, I posted a movie that I love that came out in 2008 called Never Back Down. And cover alone, you might look at it and be like, I'm not watching this garbage, but it's actually pretty cool. It's actually a real good Karate Kid type movie, which is about MMA instead of karate. And it's very reminiscent to Karate Kid and the characters and stuff like that. And it was kind of overlooked. I don't think it's really something people talk about, but I thought it was an excellent movie and it's got some good characters. And I said, and the bad boy in that movie, his name was Ryan McCarthy, and he was played by Cam Gigadet. I think that's how you say his name. I don't know what he's up to now, but he was in like Twilight. He had like a little streak for a while, but he was awesome in that movie. And I posted something like, when do we see Ryan McCarthy show up and do something on Cobra Kai? I mean, that would be so killer if they kind of crossed universes like that. But I don't want to get too out of place where all of a sudden they're heading into the Marvel universe. I don't want that. So I don't know. I just think it would be kind of cool in some aspects if you had some crossover. Like I said before, like I wouldn't mind seeing Jaden Smith in this, and he doesn't have to play the same character, but maybe just another kid in high school. The thing is, I just don't know what the age like are on these guys. Like is like Cam Gigadet's probably in his 30s now, I'm thinking. And I'm sure the rest of these kids are in their 20s. So he might just not fit. Same with Jaden. Like, how old is he? Is he way older than these kids? Is he roughly the same age? I have no clue. I'm sorry, guys. I'm scrolling through here really quick. Good question. Who are the heroes and villains for next season? For me, heroes Tori, LaRusso, Robbie. The villains Samantha, Eli, Stingray. Man, I don't know. I think, in my opinion, I think no, it's hard to say. I feel like Hawk needs to be Cobra Kai again, but he's so far gone now. I don't think it's gonna be. I think he'll probably stay Eagle Fang. Will probably be him. If Eagle Fang's a thing, maybe that's one and done now because Johnny will be gone. I just don't want Hawk to change. Like now that he doesn't have the mohawk and all that stuff, like that to me also set him apart. So I was kind of bummed that he lost that because that was like his gimmick, that was his character, and now to just be a regular kid with a bad attitude or like a tough kid or whatever, like to me it kind of takes away from him a little bit. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Dimitri, and I know they're going to probably do something with them too, but Sam, I'm curious to see what happens with her. Does she follow Miguel? Does with Miguel being gone, does she jump into the Robbie mix again? I mean, I don't know what you do with them. Daniel's always going to be, I think, he's going to be babyface, like hero always. I mean, even if he can get under your nerves and stuff, I think he always is going to try to do things for the right reasons. Uh, but I was wondering. Okay, Joe Reese, I'll get to this one really quick. I've missed a lot of the show, but I was wondering if Thomas Ian Griffin is the only true bad guy and Johnny is a good guy now. It seems Martin Cove is bad as yeah, I talked about that earlier. I think that, and I think it's right. I think Terry Silva was always the main boss. We learned that in part 3. It was like he was the top dog. You thought John Crease was the top dog, and there's one higher, right? Like John Crease is the Darth Vader to the Emperor, right? So I think that we do get a lot of Terry Silva. I don't think John Crease is going to go full on nice guy, but because I just think it's not his character. But I think it's what we've talked about is it's such a roller coaster ride. Like as much as Crease hates Silver now, they could easily get back together in a sense because he could understand why Terry Silva did this. You know, that he could understand, hey, you know what, maybe I was using Nam against you too much. Maybe he gets back with Johnny. I mean, there's so many turns here. And what I was saying before is Terry Silver now, his story arc is going to be in jail. So, John Kreese. So if you look at this, you've got Johnny and Miguel in Mexico, John Kreese in jail, Chosen and Daniel working together to get Miyagi-Do back on. And now all the kids are scattered on where to go. And Terry Silva's over here rebuilding Cobra Kai with new characters. There's so much going on now, but with a lot of people kind of out of the main storyline, like Johnny, Miguel, and Crease, then it gives you a lot of room for new characters like Chosen to be a main focus, to have a lot going on. Terry Silver to really start building his character up. You know, bringing in Mike Barnes, having him build himself up. So by the time Johnny gets back and Kreese gets out of jail, there's going to be like a whole new army. There's going to be, and I think that's kind of where season 6 is going to collide, is everybody's going to come back. But what I was thinking is, and again, this goes back to coincidence, you know, a little too coincidental, but who's to say Martin Cove doesn't run into another bad boy in jail? Because we found out he was in jail, I think, is Dutch. So Dutch did not make an appearance yet. He's the only one from the original Karate Kid cast that hadn't, as far as the Cobra Kai guys haven't come in. And I think they said he was in jail. So to me, he's still a bad guy. And to me, he was always, as much as Johnny was the leader, he was always the evilest one in the group. So to bring Dutch back, and maybe he meets Martin in jail and they break out, or they become friends again, or I don't know, like, or maybe he says to Martin, like, you know, to Kreese, maybe he says, you know, what you did to Johnny, he deserved it. Like, I should have been your top guy. Like, he took, you know, like, there could be something where maybe Dutch hates Johnny now. Maybe Johnny never went to visit him. Who knows? So I think that's another character that we can't really close our eyes to. And I haven't heard anybody talk about that. Actually, I just said that. I'm just seeing this now. Robert Long, I think you beat me to it. You just said Kreese would be locked out with Dutch. Yeah, I didn't see it, man. That's cool. Yeah, exactly. And I haven't really heard many people talk about that. I think this is probably where season 6 is going to end. John, I think season 6 you're going to see Johnny and Kreese back together, Barnes and Silver, Chosen and LaRusso. Man, I think that's where this goes. I really do. Um, what do I think about Johnny versus Silver? You know, I liked it because to me, Silver was tougher than Johnny, regardless if the age factor is taken in, but he always was like I said, he was the top dog. Um, we just didn't see enough of him, right? Like in a real world, based on the way that the story went, Mike Barnes is tougher than Johnny is. At least the way it was worded. Chosen's tougher than Johnny is. So Johnny, to me, as cool as Johnny is, and I love Johnny, he was probably the least bad of the 3 guys that Daniel fought in the franchise. He was the least. And as much as I love Johnny, and I think he's the best character on the show, I think when it comes to how these characters have been built, is Mike Barnes is going to be a tougher than Johnny. I think Chosen versus Silver is really the battle of the baddies. I mean, Chosen's good now, but Chosen probably is the toughest of the crew. And I think Silva's on the other end of that. Yeah, Henry boy. Yeah, season 5 is pretty much done, or it's done, and which is insane to me. And that was the one thing about Mike Barnes I was nervous about, is that I'm like, man, like, how is this not leaked that he's been on the show? And, you know, so um again, if he's out there, no, they're being very quiet about it. So I give it to him. Henry Boy said Never Back Down was a childhood movie. I loved it. Yeah, man, I think it's very underrated. If you like Karate Kid, that to me, Never Back Down is the closest you're gonna get to a Karate Kid remake ever. It blows the next Karate Kid. No, 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 no. Well, that I think it does, but it blows the one with Jackie Chan out of the water, for sure. Robert Long said they made 3 Never Back Down movies now. Oh, I've only seen the first one, man. Is any of the characters back, or is it all new characters? If it's a continuation of the one I saw, I'm interested. If it's all like they just rehashing new characters, I don't know if it's worth it. Let me know. Joe Reese, do I think that with the show being so popular will lead to a theatrical movie? No. I think the stories they need to tell, they're gonna do in the show. But if you're saying, would it lead to like a remake with the news? Yeah, probably. Yor Garcia. Okay, how's it going, everyone? I'm known as Ghostface, baby. I don't know how I wound up in here, but how's everything going? Everyone going? Hey, well, thank you for winding up in here, man. And we're talking a little Cobra Kai in here. I've gone about a little over an hour ranting and chatting away here, and I appreciate everybody who's hung around and listening to me because, like I said, originally this was just going to be a me talking video, but I figured having some feedback and having you guys kind of turn the direction of this conversation is kind of what I wanted to hear. And I'm curious to see kind of what you guys thought, if you guys agreed with me on certain things. So, if you're into this Cobra Kai or movies, horror movie stuff, you see all this stuff I have in the background. I love all this stuff. I've been collecting this stuff for years and years and years, and I finally, with some pushing from some fellow YouTubers, created a YouTube channel about a year ago, and having a real fun ride with it. And I've met so many cool people that are into the same stuff, and I appreciate you guys. So if you guys are checking this out, throw me a like on there. Like I said, it helps spread the word about this show. And if you haven't subscribed to me, sub down below. I'm going to do a couple more Karate Kid things this month. It's a lot going on at my house right now. Things are in shambles. Um, my goal was a lot more Karate Kid. I have a big Karate Kid collection. If you go back to my earlier videos, I actually kind of cringe watching them because I was still trying to figure out lighting and cameras and all this stuff. But I do show a lot of my Karate Kid Cobra Kai collection, and I do have a lot more that I wanted to do this month. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I just did a video talking about a Leatherface mask. I'm going to do some Texas Chainsaw related stuff because that new movie is coming out as well. So that's what the next couple weeks are going to be on this channel. Um, Oh, okay. So here we go. Holly, you didn't talk about Daniel doing Johnny's Cobra Kai training moment challenge. I loved it. I thought it was cool. I thought they both were good. I thought the Miyagi Do with Johnny was good, and I liked his reaction to it. Like, this is stupid, you know. I liked it, and I liked Daniel's doing it. I can't get over when I look at Daniel. I'm like, dude, this guy's 60. He's got his body looks like he's still like 14 years old. I don't know. I mean, good for him, but he was in the tank top doing the workout. I'm like, how he doesn't have arms of a 60-year-old. I mean, he has an arms of like a 14-year-old. But I loved it, man. I will say I love all the adult characters. I really do. I mean, I do. I mean, there was some stupid stuff like, when Miguel's grandmother's like, I have the munchies. Like, yeah, I didn't need that. I don't find that stuff funny. I think it's stupid and unnecessary, to be honest with you. But I get it. I know why they did it because they referred to like in another season or something like that. But like things like that, like that's not my humor, really. It's kind of just to me, it was just like thrown out there to get a laugh. And to me, I was kind of like cringe. Um, but like LaRusso's good, Johnny's good, Silver's good, Crease is good. Uh, the wife, Amanda, she's awesome. Like, I just think the adults just do so well with the show, and a lot of these kids that we've been around since the beginning, just as good. And I'm really really happy with this cast. Like I said, right now, the middle school kids is really like what I don't like, but I know, like I said, I Kenny grew on me. The little Larusso, not really. His friends, nah. Kenny kind of did. But I do know that that crop of kids is really what's gonna really be a main focus, I think, next season because, like I said, a lot of these main characters that we love are gonna be off doing other things, so you're gonna get splices of them in their little stories and journeys, where I think a lot of the main focus is going to be on these new guys. Scrolling here. Terry Silver is my all-time favorite Karate Kid villain, and here comes Mike Barnes. Don, I could not agree with you more. Karate Kid 3 deserves more love. Do you think Michael Ironside's character from Next Karate Kid could show up? Man, I would say probably not. But I mean, hey, I'm good for any kind of throwback, man. I mean, if he was a friend of you know Mike Barnes or whatever, like bring him in. I mean, if they're gonna be opening Cobra Kai dojos all over the valley, like he said, I mean, if all of a sudden the next season starts and then you see like Cobra Kai dojos all over the place, you're gonna need senseis, right? So sorry guys, I know I said I would answer every question, but I'm so far behind now. I'm like probably 10 minutes behind still. Don Moore and No Retreat, No Surrender was a great Karate Kid type movie that came out in 86. That was Van Damme's first movie. Love it. Love No Retreat, No Surrender. If anybody has not seen that, I recommend seeing it. It's so good. It's cheesy, but it's awesome. Van Damme is actually the villain, which we normally see. And the montages in that movie of of the kid training is some of the best stuff I've ever seen. Like he's doing these like weird workouts where he's like hanging upside down and like doing these crunches and stuff. It's a killer movie. I love No Retreat, No Surrender. All right, we can talk about Never Back Down. It's a great one. It's got Amber Heard. Yes, Never Back Down 2 is okay, worth a watch. Maybe I'll check it out. I haven't seen the other ones, but yeah, Amanda Heard. The three characters, or the main characters, even the sensei and stuff. Like I think he passed away, didn't he? The sensei in Never Back Down. But I think all the main characters in that show in that movie are great. The main kid, Jake or whatever, Sean something, his real name. He looks like Tom Cruise, and I'm very surprised he did not do more. When I saw that movie, I'm like, dude, this kid is going to be a star. But he didn't do much after that. Yeah, thanks, Boba Fett's. Drop a like on the stream, guys. I so appreciate it. And thank you guys for kind of hanging out with me. Like I said, it was a last minute decision to come do this. And I'm glad to see a lot of these Cobra Kai fans in here because it's definitely one of my jams. Huge fan of the show, huge fan of the franchise, one of my favorite movies of all time. And I was actually hoping to have, if you guys see, I set up this room here for a little Cobra Kai talk. At a Cobra Kai print over there, Karate Kid print over there. Got some sidekicks action, which let's talk about sidekicks really quick. If you guys haven't seen that, very Karate Kid like from the 90s. It was another movie like Karate Kid that was always in my VCR. Jonathan Brandis and Chuck Norris, very Karate Kid like. Joe Piscopo plays like a zany Martin Cove, John Crease. It's great. And what's funny about sidekicks is that I feel like they stole a little bit of sidekicks in this season of Cobra Kai, because in the tournament they said, "Oh, we're going to do a skills competition," and that was something that they did in sidekicks. But again, maybe that's what they do in real karate tournaments. I don't know. I've never been to one. But I just thought it was funny in my head. I'm like, oh, they're going to go the sidekicks route, I see. So maybe they did borrow from that. And it's another movie that I think you can get on Amazon Prime now or Netflix in HD for the first time. So if you haven't checked out Sidekicks, do it, because it only has a VHS. And I don't know if this thing's ever going to come out, but it's long overdue. I got a Back to the Future 2 poster back there, which I have a Surf Ninjas one sheet coming, which was another 90s karate style movie I loved as a kid. Very cheesy, but as a kid, I loved it. And that's going to take the place of that Back to the Future poster for the rest of this month as soon as I get that in. Robert Long, did I watch The Outsiders 4K yet? No, but I have it. It's right here, actually. Where is it? I just had it. It's right here. Outsiders 4K. Haven't watched it yet. Excuse me, guys. I'm just going to grab a quick drink here. All right. Oh, Swayze and Cobra Kai would kill her. Yeah, rip Jonathan Brandis, man. He was gone way too soon. What a cameo he would have made on this show, huh? That bringing his character in, that would have been so killer. because yeah, to me, Sidekicks was like the closest thing to Karate Kid as a kid that you were gonna get. Um, Henry Boy, yeah, man, I would love to do that. Can you go live again and do a Q and A type of stream? Sure, man. Like, definitely, I love streaming. The problem is just time. Busy schedule with work, family time, and then I have other streams that I do with other people. So, and then I have some things I want to show unboxing. So I got to really kind of be picking and choosing when I do. But I actually will have a little bit more time, a couple days a week at night. So I'm gonna put a Q and A in my schedule. Thank you, Henry, for checking this out. If you're not subscribed, please do as well, because it's great having people in my streams and in the comment section that like this same kind of stuff as me, and I can interact, because I usually will. If you're watching any of my videos, I'll usually comment under everything that you guys comment in. Chuck Norris to show up in the next, dude. You know what? I would rather have Chuck Norris. Well, shit. Do I want to say that? I was gonna say I'd rather have Chuck Norris than Jackie Chan, because somebody had mentioned that before. But again, do you think Chuck Norris being on Cobra Kai is almost a little too much? Could be, but it would. I mean, it would be cool. When I see Thomas Ian Griffin, I see him as Valak. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I always knew Thomas Ian from Karate Kid 3 first, and then Vampires. So like, it actually was years till I realized that that was him. Like, Vampires, and all of a sudden I was like, wait, that's Terry Silva. Yeah, Don Martin. Sidekicks is way better than you would think. And Pisico, yeah, man, he was like John Crease, like coked out of his mind. And that's another thing I liked about Terry Silva, was he was at that first episode where he was trying to get him to come back, and Terry Silva's thinking about, he's like, man, it's not the same as it was back in the 80s. Like, I was coked out of my mind. I spent all my money in one of my summers worrying about a high school kids or a college kids karate tournament. And you laugh and you're like, that's so right. Like, this guy was like a millionaire running like all these companies, and he wasted his time and money on a, a college kids karate tournament. And he said when he was doing it, he was coked out of his mind. I just think that was just such a great line for him, because it kind of just really just set the tone for everything, you know? Aha. Thank you for bringing this up. I forgot about this, but now, yeah, so he did. Sidebar, Johnny referenced another Brandis movie, Ladybugs, with Rodney Dangerfield. Yes. Love Ladybugs. Love it. When he and what's funny is I said that, I think it was to my wife. We were watching Karate Kid, and I said, and Johnny was looking for a girl or something. He said, we don't have any girls, da, da, da. And I said, they should just dress up somebody like Ladybug style. Like, I said it to my wife, and then like 3 scenes later, he brought it up. And I was like, oh my God, that's so awesome. They would reference that. And what I mean, another Johnny-ism is the fact that and again, I'm surprised that they let this happen, but he's literally calling his kid penis breath the whole time. It cracks me up every time, because it's just so like, it's so good, but it's just not something you'd ever hear nowadays on TV or anything like that. And it just makes me laugh, because I'm like, I'm glad they keep Johnny the way he is. He's not, he's not like Johnny Light now or anything like that. Yeah, you can watch Sidekicks on YouTube for free. Yeah, I mean, check it out if you guys haven't, man. It's definitely a cool watch. It's a little zanier than Karate Kid. It's interesting though. It was always, to me, just right on par. But I mean, again, you're talking to me when I was like 10 or 8 or whatever. I think Sidekicks might have been like 1989, 1990 or something. Okay. What would I like to see going forward next season? Definitely Mike Barnes. Definitely. Um, it's hard to say. I mean, I'm happy with next season, because I'm like, I want to see Chosen get in the mix. That excites me for sure. The Terry Silva, like I said before, I think what I would like was they open the season, the series, or at some point, I want to see multiple Cobra Kai dojos running, and it's like they've taken over the valley, and everybody wants to be a Cobra Kai. And you can get all these new crop of kids like you did in season 1, and they can just kind of fade a lot of the ones out that they don't like. And you never know. You have like all these kids trying out to be in, and the senseis are real tough, and they're like, nope, you're out, you're in, you're out. because in the first season, which was kind of good, and again, they were establishing characters, which we already have a lot of now, but you saw a lot of characters come in that you were like, okay, this person can be something. And like I even think Kyler's a good character. I like him. I hated him in the first season. I like him now. They could do more with him. Um, yeah, there's just a lot they can do, and I think the fact that like Johnny and Miguel and some of these other people are going to be taking a little bit of a back seat and letting people like Chosen and Terry Silver and hopefully Mike Barnes kind of ride, in the front seat for a little bit, and then having Crease on the back end of a storylines, and I would like him to meet Dutch. I think that's something I would like to see. Um, because it would just be sad to have the series end and not see some of these characters at all, even if it's just a small cameo. Um, I don't know. I'm curious to see where the Mexico thing goes. I'm curious to see what happens there. I'm almost positive Miguel's dad is going to become a big character at least for the next two seasons. Maybe he's a big wig karate guy. I don't know. Again, it'd just be too coincidental if it was like a Mexican karate master, right? Like it would just be a little much. But the cartel, like you said, would be kind of cool, and it would just bring a different feel to the show. Like they've got to use karate to beat up like the cartel, right? Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I think this season coming up is like a wild card for me because it ended in such a weird way, and there's so many possibilities, but it's hard to really nitpick where they're going because, like I said before, is you knew season 4 was going to end in the tournament. Now, this next season is not going to be a tournament, I don't think. So it's going to be one of those seasons that are going to kind of push us forward in the stories. And like I said, you are going to see a lot of the middle school kids as main characters, I'm sure. Um, I don't know. As of right now, I'm not sold on that, but I'd like to see where they go with it. Um, Let me just try to catch up again on here. I mean, somebody mentioned here, would you like Van Damme showing up? Because they did mention, but here's the thing: like if Van Damme shows up, I would actually thought Van Damme showing up as the guest of honor at the karate tournament would have made more sense than Carrie Underwood, right? Like guest of honor, like because he gives a shit about karate. I think if like they do something where like maybe they go to a Comic Con and Van Damme's there signing, and all the Cobra Kai kids are in line waiting to get him, and the Miyagi Do kids are like, oh, he's here, and then they fight at Comic Con. Like that would be kind of cool. They're fighting in the convention centers or whatever at a convention. I think that would be kind of cool. And Van Damme's like a guest that they're all trying to meet. Like I think that's how I would want some of these characters, like a Chuck Norris or a Jackie Chan or something, to enter this franchise, not actually as like a real character in the show. Um, I think that would be a pretty cool route because they didn't do, in my opinion, enough like of like the real fighting in like public places. Like that school scene to me is still my favorite scene of the whole franchise. In public, it was just so cool. Like they didn't do a lot of that this season. I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be mistaken. Um Favorite martial arts film. I mean, if you count Karate Kid as as a martial arts film, I'll say that all day. That's the one thing I don't. I'm not too familiar with a lot. Like I love Bruce Lee stuff. Like I have all his movies, but I mean, I don't haven't dug too deep into that. I love like 80s, 90s martial arts, like with Van Damme and No Retreat, No Surrender. There's another one, Angel Town. There's a real cool one called Showdown, which is on Blu-ray from MVD, where Billy Blanks actually plays like a janitor, and he teaches like a kid that's getting bullied at school karate, and they it's more of like a pit fighter. If you remember that video game where they fight in like this club or whatever. But that's a cool one. There's a lot of good ones out there. If you go on Tubi and like look up martial arts stuff, there's a lot of ones like low budget ones from the 80s and 90s that are really cool. And MVD kind of took a lot under their umbrella in some of their stuff, and so did Kino Lorber. So I would check out Tubi and watch a couple of those. There's some other ones too. I'm trying to think. I saw where they were fighting in like a nightclub. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was really cool. What fight do I want to see in Cobra Kai? Chosen versus Terry Silva and Mike Barnes versus Johnny, if they're on the show. Yeah, Robbie, that was cool at the end where they did the shirt rip off. I thought that was cool. I mean, I got to hand it to them. They got in great shape. Robbie looked great. It almost looked like Robbie spent all season, like all last year, working out for this part where it looked like Miguel like stopped using weights. Um, so I got to respect him because I work in fitness. I mean, that's my thing, and I think it's important for health and a lot of other things. So I think it was really shows a lot of discipline. I mean, I think he looked awesome, and I think Robbie and him as an actor himself. I mean, I know he was in She's All That or He's All That, and I think he's got potential to be a star. I mean, I really do. He's got a great look. I think he's got a lot of potential to be a star. I know Miguel's doing pretty well for himself. I think he just signed on for some kind of superhero movie or something. So he's going to probably be another one. I think there's going to be a couple people on this season that are going to make it. Tori is another one, but I know she was already kind of a bigger name for like kid shows or something, right? Um, oh, am I already caught up? Oh no, no. Oh yeah, they almost fought at the drive-in, yeah, but they didn't. So yeah, Best of the Best. Somebody just brought that up. Baby Herman wrote Best of the Best. I love Best of the Best, but Best of the Best and Best of the Best 2 I liked as a kid, but those are kind of hard to find now. I don't think they're like I think the DVDs are way out of print. I don't actually own either of them. But I would definitely pick them up if they came back out on Blu-ray. Good call, John. He's such a I don't know. He could have. He could have. I didn't think about that. But now that you bring that up with when they're all in the house at the beginning, like yeah, like when Elliot says that, yeah. So I mean, he could have very much so. Robbie's like he could be. I mean, I think Robbie's got a great Hollywood look. I don't know if he's short though. I don't know, but Tom Cruise was so. to get Steven Seagal to fight Silver. I mean, it's just great to see that like there's possibilities are endless, and it's just great to see that the show is doing so well that people would like to see that. Because you talk about Terry Silver 2 years ago, and no one knew who the hell he was. I mean, or before this show even came out, someone says, "Oh, I would love to see Terry Silver again," and everybody be like, "Who the hell is that?" But yeah, guys, I'm actually caught up in the chat now, so sorry if I scrolled by a couple people's stuff, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to miss anything important. But yeah, guys, I'm going to look really quick. I made a couple notes here. I think I pretty much talked about mostly everything. Oh no, there's one thing I want to talk about. Um, One other thing that really irked me here on this season was, man, like I said, Miguel has really fallen. And I know it's an emotional thing. Like he's got a lot going on. Sam and Johnny and his parents and who is he and all this stuff. But just the guy he was seasons 1 and 2, and now he's just kind of like a shell of himself in a way. And I don't know if it's being written that way on purpose or if it's just he's just getting overshadowed um, by Robbie and all this other stuff. But the injury angle was really bad. I mean, they should be kind of ashamed of themselves on that one. It was bad. I mean, you heard a snap in his back. He's on the floor screaming bloody murder like he's on his deathbed. And you're thinking, holy shit, he's paralyzed again. Episode ends. Next episode starts. Oh, it's just a pulled muscle. Pulled muscle? Pulled muscle? Give me a break. Like that was a huge cop out. And I was like, oh my God, like at the very least, have Daniel do the Miyagi thing on him or something. Like pulled muscle. The kid's back cracked, and dude, you can pull a muscle. I could pull a muscle right now on the stream and be perfectly fine and be a little bit irritated or whatever. But like that to me was brutal. Like that was so annoying. Like imagine if this show was an was a weekly thing and that's how that episode ended, and you had to wait a week for the next episode to air, and we're on like the last episode of the season or whatever, and you have to wait all weekend, and you're talking in school to your friends, and you're like, "Oh my God, you think he's paralyzed?" Like, "Oh my God, that was the worst." Da, da. And then the next episode starts and it starts out, "Oh, all right, son, you have a pulled muscle. You coming back out?" And you're like, "What a bummer that was." Like, it was brutal. And I don't know what you guys thought about that, but I was like sitting there and I was like, "Give me a break." Like, who wrote that? And I know these guys know what they're doing, but I'm like, you could have came up with something else. Like we could have went down a different avenue here. Um, I know we knew it needed to get Miguel from point A to point B, but like he literally, I don't know, it was bad. Exactly, Holly. They made it seem like you heard it. Like you heard a snap. He's all contorted on the floor screaming like he's dying and he pulled muscle. Like that to me that's like ooh, like wow, Miguel really hasn't worked out or anything in like 2 years. Like how do you go from being karate champion? Yeah, granted you were paralyzed or whatever and you got back, so you're not going to be the same, but like that was a little bit little much there for me. Um, but yeah, so I pretty much talked and thank you guys for definitely like giving me, stuff to talk about here because it was all on my list and everything that I have that I wrote down really quick before I started on like what I wanted to say that I didn't like about it. You guys already kind of talked about it for me, so you made it life really easy for me on that. Um, but yes, but overall I liked it. I still love the show. There was some things like I said here and there that were like, I don't know if it's a Netflix grasp thing that they wanted to go certain directions with this, that they needed to do certain things. I don't know. But I mean, overall, it was a great season. I love what they're doing. But again, every show you watch, you're going to have things you like and don't like about it. But like I said, probably my third favorite season out of all of them. Very curious to see what season 5 has in store for us. There's a lot of opportunity in season 5. It very much gives us a clean slate a lot of the times right now because the tournament's over, so that's not hanging over our heads. A lot of these characters are in new directions, and I'm very curious to see kind of how this thing pans out. Um, I agree, Holly. Like I said, the ref that he paid off really cheap. Not really. I mean, there's plenty of times he could have cheated a lot more, right? But what was his cheat that he said she was out of bounds and maybe she wasn't? Like, uh, okay, like that wasn't that big of a deal. Like it is what it is. That didn't deter the fight itself. Like she still had another whole point or whatever afterwards. So I mean, it could have went either way. I think that was kind of a I don't know. I didn't like that because I think Tori deserved that win and to feel better about herself. When now I think her character is going to be like, oh, I'm not really a winner. Um, Robert Long, did I ever see The Magic Kid? I don't think so, actually. Um, no, I'll check it out though. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging with me. I've been like an hour and a half. I don't want to go too much longer, but like I said, appreciate you guys stopping in and saying what's up. I know I didn't really promote this show too hard. Um, But yeah, obviously you guys must hit the notification bell that you knew I went live. So make sure you guys bang that notification bell and subscribe because that'll tell you every time I post a video or I go live. And sometimes I may go live just kind of off a whim if I have the time. So keep that notification on. I appreciate you guys checking this out, talking some Cobra Kai with me. If you're catching this on the replay, thank you so much for hanging in and listening to my opinions on the season. Make sure you hit like on the stream. And I definitely want to do a Q&A. I know some people are asking about that. I'll definitely want to do that. Let's try to see if I can do that in the next 2 weeks. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate it. Like I said, keep your ears open. I will be doing some Karate Kid collection stuff coming up as well. I showed you that autograph with Terry Silver and Martin Cove. I got a lot more of that kind of stuff. Figures. I got a lot of figures from Karate Kid. I can show you all the physical media stuff I have them starting from VHS. Some stuff I have in the works here. But thank you guys again so much for coming and hanging out with me tonight. This is Garrett at Born to Be Rad. And like always, stay rad.